When it comes to homesteading, there are a lot of great options for animals to raise. But which ones are actually profitable? Having an animal that can help pay for operation cost is very important. Otherwise, you are going to end up in a cycle of debt that is very difficult to break away from. This video is going to cover the 7 most profitable animals you can keep from a homesteading perspective. Some animals require more investment than others, but typically, higher investment means higher payouts in the end. Other animals cost practically nothing to keep, but make minimal profit. But they are still profitable nonetheless. Be warned, no animal is inherently profitable. You must read your market and know what will sell. Any oversaturated market will struggle to accept new products, which means lower prices that you can sell your products for and less overall profit. Oversaturated markets will still require all the same costs to raise the animal, meaning all the expenses will still be in place, but there will be no profit to be made in the end. So it's very important to know your market, who you plan to sell to, and if there is a market in your area at all. But first, let's start with number 7, goats. Goats do make our list, though just barely, and that might be a surprise to some. Goat meat is increasingly popular. Goats can be milked and require less space than some other larger animals. They also make wonderful pets. However, being a good pet doesn't make money. Goats do have several profit avenues. Goat milk is becoming increasingly popular, as is goat meat. Goats can produce multiple offspring each year, which is excellent to expand the herd. Goats will also eat plant matter that other pasture animals won't eat. And goats can even be raised for their fiber. Different breeds of goats can be purchased depending on your needs. Some goats are bred for meat, others for dairy or even fiber. There's also crosses between multiple purpose goats. You can always find a breed that will provide you with exactly what you're looking to sell. With that type of versatility, you would think that goats would be topping our list of profitable animals. However, there is one large setback with goats. They are curious and potentially destructive. Goats are climbers and are exceptionally curious, which is a bad combination. If you attempt to keep them away from an area they are interested in, you can expect they will spend their days figuring out a way in, and they will probably find that way. They can be chaos for wire fencing, tearing it to shreds by climbing over, under, and through. Hot wire may contain them, but you better make sure that hot wire is set at the perfect height, or they'll find a way around that too. The damage they can cause and the labor required to fix the things they break will come right off your bottom line, making a versatile yet expensive animal extra difficult to keep, solidifying their place at the bottom of this list. Number 6 is rabbits. Rabbits can be raised for meat, fur, or kids for pets. They reproduce quickly, which means you can expand their numbers fast and sell babies to others as pets or meat. Rabbits require very little space and feed, making them a very low maintenance option. Rabbits, however, are held back by the relatively low profit per animal. Though they are easy to keep, they are not hugely profitable, bringing them in at number 6. Number 5 is honeybees. Honeybees don't immediately come to mind for most people who think about raising livestock, but they are indeed considered livestock. They do require a bit of startup investment. They require a hive and, of course, the bees themselves. But bees mostly take care of themselves, requiring very little input from the farmer. They produce valuable honey and beeswax, and if you are entrepreneurial, they can actually be rented out to other farmers to pollinate their crops and fields, which is a wonderful source of income. Bees only require supplemental food when required, depending on your area and climate, and a water source, and of course, protection from predators. Bees are also a fascinating animal to watch and can be fun and educational. They will also pollinate any of your own crops, making them a joy to have around. Overall, it doesn't get much lower maintenance than a honeybee. Number 4 is sheep. You might think that sheep and goats would go together, or at least be a little closer on the list. Almost all the benefits of goats apply to sheep. They can be raised for meat, milk, and fiber. But sheep provide a more consistent fiber source than goats, and in greater quantities. Sheep, like goats, have different breeds that will provide different products, such as meat, milk, and wool, or combinations of these. Sheep are slightly pickier eaters and won't eat all the weeds and plant life that a goat would eat. But that's about where their downsides compared to goats end. They come with all the upsides of goats, but don't come with the major downside because they are much easier to contain. Sheep are not as curious and are certainly not as brave as goats. They will not test fences in the same manner, and the money you save attempting to contain them is money earned at the finish line. Having raised both goats and sheep, I can personally testify with the ease of care of sheep, and it is a no-brainer that if you're strictly thinking of it from the profit side of things, I would never look twice at a goat if sheep were an available option. Number 3 is chickens. Chickens are incredibly popular homestead animals, and for good reason. Chickens produce valuable products, eggs and meat, and they are exceptionally low priced. Chicken eggs and meat are always in demand. Chicken feed is cheap and their housing requirements are minimal. Chickens also make wonderful pets, and they do a decent job of clearing away bugs from areas they roam. Chickens are relatively quiet, assuming no roosters are around, and are otherwise pretty maintenance-free. They require no hoof trimmings or no heavy busy work. Chickens need protection from predators of all types, as they are irresistible to all forms of creature, from foxes to rats. As much work as it requires to keep a goat in, you will require to put that energy into keeping everything else out when it comes to chickens. The downside of chickens is the relatively low profit per animal you can expect to receive. Those eggs and meat are always in demand, but there's typically plenty of people dabbling in backyard chickens to meet that demand. You'll need to find a way to break into that market if you hope to make any profit at all from chickens. Number 2, pigs. Pigs are a highly profitable animal that requires very little in terms of investment. Pigs do their best on a homestead when allowed to roam. Kune pigs are known to live on pasture grass alone, which would cut feeding costs by an incredible amount. Pigs are relatively easy to contain and do not need the huge spaces that large animals typically need. Depending on the breed you choose, the pig can be raised for meat or lard, and both are highly desirable products. Their food-to-meat ratio is excellent, meaning that the feed you provide them is turned into your desired product at a great rate. Pigs require a bit more of an upfront investment, as they are the most expensive animal to purchase so far on this list. But on the other end, they will sell for far more than any other animal so far listed. Pigs also have large litters, meaning you can increase your numbers quickly or sell the extras for additional profit. Pigs are easily the number 1 most profitable animal on a list for many homesteaders. They blow the rest of the animals out of the water in terms of potential. And if the number 1 spot on this list contains an animal that isn't right for you, I would highly recommend the pig as our number 1 pick. It's definitely your best choice. But speaking of number 1, the number 1 spot goes to the almighty cow. Cows are without a doubt the most profitable animal on this list. Though pigs do give them a run for their money, especially considering the easier requirements of pigs. Cows aren't right for everybody. Cows require pasture and space. A very minimum of 2 acres is needed if you plan to try your hand at cows, each cow requiring about an acre of pasture apiece. Cows have an enormous startup cost. First, you need the cow itself, which is no small expense. And of course, housing a large animal requires a larger building. Feeding is an ongoing expense, as well as vet care. But with all that cost comes with great payoff. Cow milk is second to none in terms of desirability, as is beef. Cows can be raised for their hides, making them incredibly versatile. While they do have large space requirements, they are exceptionally easy to fence considering their size. A single strand of hot wire is often enough to keep even the largest body at bay, and their gentle, inquisitive nature means they won't be knocking on walls in areas where hot wire may be missing or broken. Cows do require the most know-how and research before jumping in. There are rules regarding the selling of milk, and cow animal care is the most labor-intensive of all animals on this list. However, no other animal produces the amount of milk or meat that a cow can provide. Cows also convert low-quality forage into high-quality protein. That means that they can be raised on land that is unsuitable for other types of agriculture. There are different breeds of cow for different purposes, such as beef or dairy. But just as importantly to a homestead, there are different breeds depending on the size you want. Cow sizes can go all the way from standard to micro miniature, which wouldn't be that much larger than a large breed of dog, which might open up options to those with space issues. Be aware, however, the smaller the cow, the higher the price, which might seem counterintuitive as they produce much less meat and milk, but you pay for the novelty of the smaller size. So there you have it, the best animal picks for profit on a homestead. There are probably animals missing from this list that you think should have been included. And while there is an argument to be made for many other animals, I believe that the animals on this list are the best picks overall for animals you can choose for your homestead. Thank you for joining.